Round of applause for us, the Steeler faithful, Steeler nation, Steeler lovers, Steeler haters, Steeler doubters, the Steelers fair, what do you call them? The flip-floppers. Everything Steeler related, whether you hate them, love them, whatever it is. Welcome to all of y'all, because I understand that I have that type of audience. You know, some people come watch because they can't stand the Steelers. Some people come and watch because they love the Steelers. So welcome to all of you guys and gals. Welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the Steel basement. And let's get to it. What's happening, guys? What is happening? What's happening? We're going to keep it very light tonight, man, because listen, the game just happened last night. I did rewatch it. I rewatched all the way until about 5 minutes or so left in the fourth quarter because I didn't need to see the rest of that. Did not need to see anything pertaining to the Dolphins scoring those two, throwaway touchdowns. I'll talk a little bit about that. But I rewatched it. My opinion is pretty much the same as it was last night, so it's not going to take me long to go through my stuff. Let's say hello to the early commenters, and then I'll get into my topics, and then we'll open the phone lines up early, really early. Rajan 39 in the building. Aaron Morris is in the building. My man, Brent Fox. Appreciate you coming by last night, Brent. I know you said that you would catch the replay and you were just coming by to show love. So salute to you for that, man. I really appreciate you, my brother. The infamous Tim is in the building. Hello, Lanisha. The lovely Lanisha in the building. Guys, y'all know the routine. Take time out. Say hello to our lovely ladies of Steeler Nation, each and every one of them. Treat them like care, make them feel welcome, and roll out that red carpet. We love our ladies of Steeler Nation. Walter Worthy is in the building. My guy, Mark Cunningham in the building. Ollie Howard is in the building. Jermaine White in the building. Who else? BQ412 is in the building. It did, brother. That one did feel good, man. It did feel good, and I will get into that here in a moment. Is this Deshane Egos? Hopefully I'm saying that correct. Is in the building as well. He says, what's up, Sim, a.k.a. Wonder Bread, man? I love that. What's going on to you? Vista Light is in the building. My good brother Kenyon in the building, of course. Who else? Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. So let's get right to the action. All right, guys. Hold on. No Limit Steel Nation Brando. That's what's up, man. I don't know if I've seen that name before. So if you've been here before, my apologies for not remembering, but that name kind of stuck out. So salutes and welcome to you. So let's get to it, guys. We're not going to waste too much time tonight, man. We're not. I always say that I'm not going to be long, but let's get to it. First and foremost, we're going to talk about Tomlin's comments, anything that I may have pulled from his presser. And y'all know generally it's not a ton to go over. In most cases, we're just talking about the guys to watch on the injury list, as well as maybe one or two things I may have pulled from what he may have said in his presser while answering questions that, might be important to me or just something that that stuck out. So we'll get into the injuries. Isaac Seumalo and Nick Herbig will be limited. These guys suffered some things in game. So Tomlin said you could probably categorize those guys as limited early, and we'll see how it goes. I really hope that there is not an issue with Nick Herbig, man, of course, because, listen, I like what that guy brings to the table. I like him being that third starter, if you will, but we also don't know the status of TJ Watt. So I absolutely would hate for a guy like Nick Herbig to be limited to the point where he's not going to participate. But we'll see. Let's keep let's keep our eyes and our hopes open on that. He didn't classify anybody as out, if I remember correctly, so that's a good sign. Speaking of which, he says Derek Harmon has a chance to play this week as well, which will be definitely something I'm looking forward to, of course, with us having to face off against the Detroit Lions with a potent run game with two running backs. You know, it's funny because a lot of times you consider David Montgomery more of the power guy, but Jahmyr Gibbs shows some power as well. shows that he can run in between the tackles as well. So definitely want to get anybody that we can that can continue to help try to stop the run with teams that try to run against us. You know the Lions are going to try to run the football. So that'll be good. Tomlin basically said, he probably could have played yesterday. And, they kind of didn't find it, deem it necessary to play him, so he didn't. But that's good to know. So at least he's healthy enough to play. He says Andres Pete is in the protocol. James Pierre is limited as well with a calf. We'll see how that goes. And at the moment of his press conference, I don't know if anything has came out since that. I haven't seen anything, didn't look for anything. But at the moment in which Tomlin spoke, he said there was no new news on T.J. Watt. So we do not know the status of T.J. Watt going into that game. And there you have it. And yeah, I'm happy to peek over here at the chat. Mark is correct. Tomlin mentioned that as well. And for any of you guys that kind of know, Derek Harmon's background is definitely going to be like a homecoming game for him. So I'm pretty sure he wants to play in that game. One thing that I pulled from something that was very important to me that stuck out to me. Mike Tomlin says he talked about them using 11 personnel more, right, against the Dolphins. He said because the Dolphins lack depth at cornerback, and he mentioned Minkah Fitzpatrick being in the nickel, and they wanted to take advantage of that, him not being in his quote-unquote natural position. That is interesting. That is interesting for two reasons. One reason I will explain now. The other reason I will explain in a moment. But again, guys, a lot of times people who, let's say, dislike Mike Tomlin or, your criticism of him is he's dumb, he doesn't know football, he doesn't know X's and O's and yada, yada, yada. That's just a clear example of it, guys, that, again, you can have your opinion about a head coach or a player or whatever, but you don't know the ins and outs. I keep telling you guys that it is impossible for somebody to be, in my opinion, even a bad one, it's impossible for somebody to be a head football coach in the NFL that don't know football. Now, I'm sure there's different levels of it, of course, but again, a lot of you guys, again, that just don't have anything joyous to say about the coach will say he's dumb, he doesn't know what he's doing, he has no idea what he's doing from an X's and O's standpoint. Right there. That shows you right there, guys. And I'm going to explain that here in just a moment. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. What happened? You said, I see we lost Williams. And he was picked up by the Bengals, actually. Okay. Oh, well, that's how it goes, guys. That's how it goes, man, when you're on a practice squad or what have you. So, or when somebody is put on waivers, so that's how it goes. Let's get into the game, guys, because that's really the only thing else I have. And then outside of that, I will do a quick look forward to the Lions. Couple things, man, that I noticed when rewatching the game. Again, the Steelers, looked very stagnant in the beginning from an offensive standpoint. For whatever the case may be, I have not studied the All-22 yet, didn't have time yet, but I don't know if it was a play call situation or a lack of execution situation early. We did kind of break script on the very first play of the game. We ran a play action, but again, when I look at the film, I'll be able to tell you if it was, not great routes. So I don't know. I don't know why the Steelers were so stagnant until basically the last drive of the half. Now, there was a drive before that where we had a long drive as well, but I'm just talking about not being able to produce points. Don't really know. But again, watching the game again, man, one of the key things that stood out to me was I felt like the Steelers had a gotta have it type of drive right before the half. Right before the half, guys, literally, man, I can't remember what the exact amount of time was, but y'all saw it. It was over 5 minutes and something left, I think, or maybe a little less than that. I want to say might have been 4 minutes and 54 seconds. I think it was somewhere around there, something like that. And I said to myself, man, the Steelers need to try to find a way to get some points, whether it's field goal or touchdown, but a touchdown would be great. And ideally, you want to do it and leave Miami with no time on the clock. Because at that point, remember, Miami wasn't doing anything crazy, but they had popped off a few explosive plays. So it started to feel like, all right, they got their field goal. We got to get some points because we can't keep giving them the ball back. The dam is going to break at some point if we can't score. I kind of had that feeling, even though it was a very defensive game in the first half. However, the Steelers finally did it, man. They put together a long drive, killed the clock, and scored a touchdown with 17 seconds remaining. That was a huge turning point in that game. Because what did they do right after that? They came out, they opened the half. They opened the second half with another touchdown. And then the Steelers went on to score 4 straight touchdowns. Not points, not just points, touchdowns, right? It wasn't just, they got a touchdown and they got 3 here and 3 there. No. 4 consecutive drives, they scored a touchdown. And that was just an amazing thing to see while at the same time limiting the Miami Dolphins, right? So I just think that was the key moment of the game. Another key moment of the game, again, if you go back and look, the Dolphins were driving. You know, when Asante Samuel was able to pick off Tua Tagovailoa, did I say his last name correctly? I always, hesitate when I pronounce his last name. But, yeah, man, getting that interception on Tua, I don't know what Tua was looking at because even looking at the TV tape, guys, what an excellent job and what a wonderful job with Asante Samuel, not just playing grass, right? He was looking for work. Some of you guys that follow me have followed me in the past, in the years leading up to now with, giving feedback to EA Sports and their football titles, used to always hear me say, guys need to not just play grass and zone. They should be looking for work when nobody is in their area. What Asante Samuel did was an excellent example of that. The Steelers were in a cover 2. There was nobody on his side, so he just kept drifting. He didn't stay in that quarter flat area, the intermediate area. He just kept drifting with his eyes on the quarterback. There was only 2 guys on the route, and he just kept drifting, making it a tougher throw with the safety help over the top, so you can't really hit that hole shot. And he drifts. Tua throws it a bit short, and he gets the interception. So, again, you got to give kudos to Asante Samuel Jr. for playing that the way he did and not just staying in his zone area, so to speak. So that was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was a turning point because, again, the Dolphins were driving. That might have been the same drive where I can't remember. Was that the one when Achane hit that decent-sized run? I can't remember, but I know that they were on the move. They were on the move at that point, and this was after a Steelers 3 and out. So that was a key moment. Outside of that, man, the offense just got going, man. Patrick Queen, I talked a little bit about him last night. 2 plays that come to mind after rewatching it. Outstanding tackle on that 3rd and 2 scramble by Tua. Y'all remember that? It was a 3rd and 2. Tua took off, and Patrick Queen came flying, got him around the head, did not face mask. That's also key because when you get your hands up around head, a lot of times guys tug on the face mask, did not face mask him, but that pressure forced Tua to slide early, and in turn, that ended up being short of the first down, and the Miami Dolphins elected to punt. So that was a huge play right there. But then also, speaking of the field goal for the Dolphins, it was another situation where Ali Gordon ran the football and it was 3rd and 1. And Patrick Queen shot the gap and he tackles him in the backfield for about, a 2-3 yard loss. Excellent play by Patrick Queen right there. And Patrick Queen, again, man, was flying around. This year he's coming to his own as far as us being able to say, okay, okay, he's settling in well as not only a Steeler linebacker, but what we want to see from him as a linebacker. And I get it, guys. You're always going to say, oh, but he could do more, and da-da-da-da-da. We're going to say that about every player. But he's starting to come into his own and settle in and really start producing games that we want to see as an inside linebacker from our Steeler defense. So, again, more kudos to him. And also, I noticed, I forgot about this last night. Alex Highsmith had an opportunity to get an interception as well. You know, it was just out of his reach. You know, maybe a DB possibly makes that play. But again, it's good to see. And Alex Highsmith has done that a couple times this year, right? It's good to see him when he's in space like that and he's being asked to cover, that he's able to make plays. So that was just something else, man, that I noticed. And outside of that, man, I would just go on to say this right now. The Steelers, for the first time, played complementary football. That's why I put that in the title. Both offense and defense. And the offense started slow. But once they got going, they got going. And again, it has to be a combination of play calls and execution, right? I noticed that Arthur Smith started doing some more quick game, you know, little quick things here and there to get the offense going. We were able to run the football. We hear Mike Tomlin always say, hey, if we can stay on schedule, you'll see the offense open up. I think last night was evidence of that. We were able to run the football and things started to open up. We also attacked the middle of the field quite a few times. Speaking of which, going back to the point I just said about Tomlin specifically saying why they used a little more 11 personnel, look at that play where DK Metcalf had that incredible touchdown. Look who was guarding him in the slot. Minka Fitzpatrick, right? So what Tomlin and company did, and Arthur Smith, because again, I'm going to give the coordinator the majority of the credit, but also I'll give Mike Tomlin some credit there because he talked about it in the presser. That was the plan for them to use 11 personnel when they can and take advantage of the lack of depth. So having the formation of putting DK Metcalf in the slot, getting him lined up on Minka Fitzpatrick, and he's able to beat him inside. And again, what a throw by Aaron Rodgers, because it looks like, again, from TV tape, when I see the film, I really know it looks like it was more of like a cover one robber situation because the safety, you know, was kind of lurking in the middle. But what a throw by Rodgers to zip it in there. What concentration by DK Metcalf, because Rodgers did throw it a touch behind him to kind of get him away from the defense. And then he just shoos Minka Fitzpatrick to the side. But again, guys, that right there is a direct correlation of our coaching staff utilizing X's and O's to get the advantage. And there you have it. And then I just want to say again, man, wow. You know, Kenneth Gainwell, man, has been special for the Steelers, man, here of late, you know, in the last several weeks. I really like that combination. And I think I said this on one of the shows. It might have been last week. I really like that three-headed monster that we have. Yes, I am including Caleb Johnson in that mix because Caleb Johnson will come along. I really and honestly believe that. We're pretty set at running back. Definitely want to see this unit once again, all three of them together. And I love, man, side note, what Aaron Rodgers was saying in his presser, talking about he told him that his intention was to get him paid. See, I love stuff like that. And the one thing I will say about Aaron Rodgers, as he has been the Steelers quarterback, I feel a little differently about Aaron Rodgers with my personal feelings towards him, not listening to all the noise that you always heard about him and who he was and yada, yada, yada. I'm glad I got an opportunity to see him from this POV where we can listen to him interview and listen to him talk and yada, 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 right? I don't think Aaron Rodgers is as bad a guy as they tried to paint him out to be. He seems like a likable guy, a good teammate. Seems like the players have nothing but love and respect for him. And he's always trying to support the team. So, again, I can't speak for what he was at the Jets or at the Packers because, again, I knew Aaron Rodgers, the player, did not really tune in to hear what he had to say. I'm glad for somebody who I've appreciated him as a player. I'm glad I've gotten this opportunity for my personal, reasons to say, wow, okay, he is a pretty decent guy. Who would have known that? But outside of that, man, listen, they played complimentary football in all three levels because what a special teams play by Ben Skoranek to essentially end the game. So if the Steelers can do that, do I give them a chance to compete? Maybe, right? But I still need to see that on a consistent basis, and I need to see that against more teams. Because I know what some people are going to say, oh, but it was the Dolphins and the Dolphins suck. Stop. The Dolphins came into this game one of the hottest teams in the league. Right? So, again, I understand some people who might say that, but then a lot of people will say the Steelers suck. So, it is what it is, guys. Like I said, whatever they do from this point on, let me be surprised and let me see what might transpire. But prove it to me, Steelers. That's all I'm saying. If you can play games like that where, I'll just say this, complimentary football, yes, but some teams you're not going to hold them down. But if the Steelers can score 25 points or more, and we've done that a few times this season, I think they're able to compete with anybody just out of sheer time, right? If you score 4 touchdowns, you've taken time off the clock. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how I can confidently say I think they compete with anybody left in the AFC, even though that's hard to grasp under that circumstance. If you're scoring 3 to 4 touchdowns, you're killing clock unless you're doing big hits. You understand what I'm saying? So if they can do that, yeah, they can compete. I don't know how well they compete, but we'll see. If they play like that, man, there's talent enough, even though I don't think we are extremely talented, there's talent enough for the Steelers to win games if they can play complimentary football like that. But the jury is still out on whether or not they'll be able to do it down the stretch and into the postseason if they do actually get to the postseason. So that's why I got it. And real quick, I'll say this, man, about Detroit, just looking ahead. It's going to be tough. Listen, Detroit has 2 potent receivers that you have to worry about. Yes. You have to worry about what's his name? Amon-Ra St. Brown. Am I saying that correct? Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have him. They have Williams, who to me that's another killer, right? That's a killer with his speed. To me, that's kind of I look at those 2 guys kind of the same way I look at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right? And this is what I mean. You focus so much on St. Brown, but then you got this other dude that could go off and have a beast game at any moment. And that's how I view Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You worry about Chase so much, but then T. Higgins can go off on you as well. They also have a tight end, guys. If I don't know if I know he was hurt, but I think I saw him play last week in Laporta. So they got weapons. They got David Montgomery and they got Jahmyr Gibbs. Holy moly. They have a high-powered offense and they have a solid offensive line. Right? So it's going to be tough. Let me grab this Wonder Bread really quick. Round of applause to my guy, Jay Webb. I appreciate that, brother. He says, keep speaking facts, Sim. Agree with the 25-point line. We shore up the run, cut back lanes. We can be okay. We can't go to Detroit playing scared from a game plan standpoint. Absolutely, man. We really have to attack it. I'll say this. Speaking of cutbacks, Jahmyr Gibbs could give us the similar issues that James Cook gave us if we're not careful. So we absolutely have to limit the big play. And that's the thing, guys. It's like, I'm a realist, guys. It's the NFL. I don't believe you're going to often stop teams from not scoring. Good ones. Every now and then you'll have a game like yesterday where a team that's capable of scoring, your defense is just clicking on all cylinders and you're just allowing them not to do nothing until you literally gave them the 2 touchdowns, which I still hate, right? I still hate that. I understand why teams back off, but I feel like we could have probably maybe only surrendered 1 touchdown. But anyway, that's going to happen. It's the NFL, right? But it just comes down to, can you limit the explosion? The explosion. You're going to give up a pass every now and then. You might even give up a decent run every now and then, but can you limit like what Mitchell did to us in that game against the Ravens? 56-yarder. Stuff like that you're going to have to avoid, because Gibbs can house that thing at any moment. So we just can't get caught up in a situation where he's gashing us on cutbacks. Yeah, we just can't, man. We're not going to be able to afford that. I do not think they're going to go in there scared. Again, guys, I think the game plan is the game plan. I think the coaches have what they think is going to work. I think they prepare the team each and every week to win, and sometimes you just don't win. Again, not saying that you're saying that, Jay Webb, but I just don't subscribe to what people say when he didn't have the team ready to play and yada, yada. I never believe that, guys, because I think each and every single week the coaches on any football team, any decent team with a decent coach, is having you prepared to win. And sometimes you don't, because we even see when good teams don't win. So you're not going to tell me when a good team loses, they won't prepare or they won't ready to play. I just don't believe that. Sometimes it's matchups and it just ain't your day. That's just my personal opinion. What else was I saying, guys, about it being tough? Yeah, the offensive line is good. We're going to have to be on that P's and Q's. I think we could get at them defensively. Talking about them defensively, they play a lot of man coverage. Tomlin even mentioned that, but if you've watched the Lions, you've seen that yourself. They kind of, Dan Campbell and them are kind of stubborn to their own ways, similar to Tomlin being stubborn in his ways. They're going to just line up and play man a lot of the time. They're not that deep at cornerback. They're hurting a little bit at that area, but they got guys like Aiden Hutchinson. And they got other guys on the line that can rush. They got guys at the mid-level like Campbell. Very solid linebacker, right? He's going to be all over the place. But I think you are able to get at them at the corner and safety position. So is this going to be a game where we come out and fire? Come out and firing, and throwing the ball? We'll see. Aaron Rodgers has shown that he's capable, man. He can still sling it and make pretty good decisions. The offensive line, can they hold up like they did in this last game? Yeah, we gave up 3 sacks. One of them, Aaron Rodgers, just went down. But, even when I rewatched the game, we didn't really give up any sacks from the tackle spots. One of them was kind of a loop around of Zach Frazier. He initially had a great block, then he spun around to try to help out on the other guy to his left, but then the way Rodgers stepped up, his guy ended up running into him. But our tackles held up pretty well, guys. Shout outs to Dylan Cook, man. He played great. I rewatched it today, and I was really focusing on just watching him. He played great at left tackle. So, listen, if our offensive line can give Aaron Rodgers time, even though the Lions play a lot of man, I think we have some advantages, guys. I really do. I think we might have some advantages with a guy like DK Metcalf. However, here's the question. If they play a lot of man, which one of our receivers are going to be able to win? Is this going to be a game where a guy like Scantling give us something else? Or Adam Thielen as a vet. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll see. If I'm not mistaken, he's already played the Lions this season as a Viking. So we'll see, guys. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting, but they're going to have to, bring their A. They're going to have to bring their A, man. We'll see what happens, guys. We'll see. But let's get to it, guys. Let's get to the calls, man. I told y'all this wasn't going to be long. This wasn't going to be long. You says we might as well trade Wilson. What Wilson we talking about? What Wilson we talking about? You talking about Peyton Wilson? What's wrong with Wilson? I don't think he's playing bad. Oh, y'all talking about Roman? Nah, no, guys. No, man. Like, guys, look towards the future. Roman Wilson is gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. I think Kenyon mentioned this, and I think you guys said maybe the coaches mentioned this last week. The Steelers wanted to go a little bigger at wide receiver down the stretch. So that's why they bring in guys like MVS, they bring in Thielen. But I don't know why you guys are so down on Roman Wilson. But that's fine. I'll let y'all have it. Let's revisit this conversation when he's playing consistently and whether he's performing or not performing. Then we can have the conversation. But again, if you're like me, down the last 3 games of Roman Wilson playing, Roman Wilson was coming on. Roman Wilson was getting open a lot. Listen, you ain't got to believe me. Go look at a breakdown from people that I respect. Alex Kazor put up a dedicated video showing you how Roman Wilson is getting open. He has not been the problem. But, we all have our opinions. So it's all good. I'm not going to dispute you guys. What I am going to do, though, is now I'm going to get to the calls, guys. I'm going to grab, again, this is the only thing with Discord. I can't see who's first or who's not. I sucks. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab Infamous Tim first. Right after that, I'm going to grab Dirty. So let's go ahead and get Tim on right now. What's going on, Tim?
Hey, Sim, I'll try to keep this brief. Now, earlier in the season, I did have my gripes with Roman Wilson, but that was more so his lack of reps. He wasn't necessarily activated, couldn't pick up the playbook, but now that he's playing, him not putting up these gaudy numbers is completely fine with me. This is essentially his rookie season. I'm just glad that he's actually out there and getting reps. Now, my main point really was watching both last week and Monday's game really showed me that Arthur Smith isn't necessarily, reaching in his bag, calling these master classes as an offensive coordinator. While he is, being a coach and he's using the X's and O's, he's putting DK Metcalf in the slot while we're in a big personnel grouping, forcing a safety to come down and cover him. Because if you put a corner and DK in the slot, we're going to run the ball at that corner. Since you put a safety down there to help with the run threat, naturally, they're not going to be as good in coverage. Took advantage of that, beat Minka for a touchdown. But what I'm really seeing is not that he's calling great plays. What I'm really seeing is the offense is converting third downs. That's the biggest thing that we've seen that contributes to success with this team. When we convert third downs, we give this defense an opportunity to catch a break. Our offense throughout the season has been one of the lowest in terms of time of possession, and fans aren't really putting 2 and 2 together. I don't care how many stars your defense has, unless they're the 2000 Ravens or that great Steelers defense we previously had. Eventually, they're going to bend and break when they don't have time to rest. Now that we've been converting third downs and prolonging drives, not only are we putting up points, we're allowing our defense to be rested and they're playing aggressive. Jalen Ramsey's coming downhill. Patrick Queen is coming downhill. Fans can have issues with Patrick Queen. He's not going to be Fred Warner. He's not going to be a Ryan Shazier, but he's going to be a legitimate starting legit middle linebacker. We don't need him to be a superstar level. But this defense is playing so well because we're playing complementary football, like you said. Like you can see it and you can watch it. You know, us putting up 28 points is great and all, but the fact that we are consistently converting third downs and keeping drives together, it really shows me what Mike Tomlin wanted this team to be. We tried doing it with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky, long, prolonged drives. I think against the Panthers, we had a drive that was almost 10 minutes. We tried doing it with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. If you look at the different coordinators we've had and the different quarterbacks we've had, and you watch over the years, you can see a pattern. I'm not in those coaching meetings. I'm not Mike Tomlin or Arthur Smith, so I'm not them. But what I can do is use my eyes and my football knowledge and IQ to see patterns. And from those patterns, you come up with a hypothesis rather than just seeing a result and being upset and just blaming coaches willy-nilly. Use your eyes, watch patterns, and see what coaches' tendencies are rather than what you want them to be. That's all I had for you. Have a good night, Steelers family.
Man, excellent call, and that deserves a round of applause. Outstanding call, guys. The reason why is this is what I always say. I respect every opinion. I just want a little meat on the bone. You know what I mean? And you have to start looking at these things with a different lens. Now, again, everybody, and it's okay. Everybody doesn't have football acumen. That's okay. Everybody may not have played football or watched football long enough to really know the game or study it. That's okay. But that's why you hear me say some of the things I say when I challenge stuff. And I'm like, you just talking to be talking, right? Whereas Tim just broke that down from his eyes, his POV, his perspective. And again, it goes back to something I said that not exactly that, but similarly to that, right? Everybody was saying, oh, why does Tomlin and them want to run this type of offense and yada, 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 and they don't trust the middle of the field, blah. And what did I say? That wasn't the case with Ben Roethlisberger. It all was based on who you have available to you. Yes, Mike Tomlin has been more of a, hey, let's protect the football. Let's not put it in harm's way. We want to try to run first, pass when we need to. All of that has transpired since Ben Roethlisberger, since Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Duck Hodges, Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, and an older Russell Wilson. So that's all I was trying to get you guys to see. And again, similar to what Tim just said, you have to look at these certain things and you could be able to come to this, like he said, you could kind of develop your own, like, okay, that's why, if you really just pay attention. But that was an excellent call, man. And I fully agree with him as far as coordinators and coaches. Guys, it's not to say that Arthur Smith is an excellent coordinator. Honestly, some of the best coordinators you've ever seen, some of you guys only say that because they run a little cute play here and there, right? That's why y'all say that. But you really don't know the ins and outs. Like a guy like Andy Reid, which makes him a great coordinator, and even Eric Bieniemy when he was there with him, is the type of plays that they pull out at certain times of the game. It's not just that it was a cute play, it was, wow. They had that in their bag and they knew it was gonna work because of the alignment and the personnel package. Like that kind of stuff you can see just like that. But it's not 1,000 plays in one game that you see from even a great coordinator that make you say, see? A lot of people judge these things off of whether or not the play worked. So to Tim's point, Arthur Smith is now, our offense is now clicking on third down, right? They're starting to click, well, at least since last night. So now it looks like to the general public, oh, he did an amazing job, which I think he did in terms of, like Tim said, I talked about it already, putting DK Metcalf in the slot, calling little quick screens, the little cute play, that was a cute play to Jonnu Smith. That was like, whoa, where'd that come from? but it was the way in which we were utilizing the personnel, using 11, getting those matchups against a team that has little depth at cornerback. Excellent plan and strategy from Arthur Smith last night. All right, let's take the next one, guys. We have Dirty. Let's get Dirty on the line. 1 second. What's going on, Dirty? What you got for us?
What's up, Sim? I've noticed that during this game, since Broderick Jones has been out the last 2 weeks, it seems like the O-line has gelled a lot more. And what I mean by that is, it's like Dylan Cook came in with no notice. He replaced Andres Pete and Calvin Anderson. Both of them were just so. We were still getting pressure from that side and had to lean on the quick pass game. I noticed that, like, Dylan Cook, he's a little bit more reliable, you could say. Like, I know they're professionals and, they're good at their job, but it seems like Dylan Cook might be a hidden gem on the offensive line. And I think that kind of opens up the pass game a lot more for us to where we can target the middle of the field instead of just doing quick screens. Well, that's all I got, son. Thank you.
Oh, man, thank you. I appreciate the call. And, yeah, I'll definitely comment on that. The kid looked comfortable, man. I mean, we can't dispute that. He did. What I will say, though, is I've learned, and this has nothing to do with football, but kind of, right? Being in management, I'll just give y'all a quick, small little story to connect the dots. We have veterans, and then also, because we have turnover from time to time, what we've decided to do for the last couple years now is we'll have temps, right? And the temp has 6 months to, earn a permanent spot or not, right? And what I've noticed with being in management, I get these people that come in and, they look like Dylan Cook. First week, second week, third week, fourth week, 6th week, 7th week. Then all of a sudden, it starts to go downhill from there. What I mean, and the point I'm getting at, is when you see a small sample size, it's hard to predict the overall picture, right? So I will say that he absolutely looked solid last night, man. He did. I can't wait to really watch the tape. But again, just rewatching the game a little earlier from the TV view, I said it at the beginning of the show, the kid looked comfortable, man. And I don't recall any pressure coming from that side. Definitely not a sack. But, once I look at the 22, I'll be able to see if there was pressures and all that. But I think he did a bang job, man, like a great job. But it's a small sample size, right? Now, he could, like you said, could be a hidden gem. Absolutely. But the point I'm getting at is I don't want to just outright say, he's better than Broderick Jones. I'm not going to say that. I don't think Broderick Jones was playing bad before the injury. I think Broderick Jones was playing pretty good, right? I think Broderick Jones started getting better throughout the season. Remember early in the season, might have even been the first game, he gave up a couple sacks. Y'all remember that? But week after week after week, Broderick Jones started playing solid. So that's all I'm saying. I don't want to compare them apples to apples because it's a small sample size. But if we are sitting on a gem, excellent. I'll take it. But yeah, appreciate that call, man. I appreciate that, man. And like you said, listen, that's opened up everything, man. Aaron Rodgers even looked comfortable, and Aaron just kind of, he looking like veteran Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? He looked like a guy that's like, all right, let me sit back here and do what I do. Let me work my magic. And again, Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, gotta allow him to do that. And like I told you guys last week, I believe that they allow Aaron Rodgers to do that. Work the middle of the field when he sees it. Man, that throw to DK, not even that one. The first throw to DK Metcalf early in the game, in the middle of the field. They even showed it to you on the TV broadcast when they showed us the end zone perspective. That was quarterbacking at his finest. Because Aaron Rodgers kept his eyes this way, and you saw too high safety shell, right? Tomlin even talked about that. They knew that these guys played a lot of shell, and they knew how they were going to attack them, right? Too high shell, and We put pressure on the underneath linebackers, and he had his back kind of turned. He was running this way to get over here, focusing on, and right behind him, Aaron Rodgers kind of looked it off, and he saw DK Metcalf coming, and then you saw his eyes flip back again, and he zips it in the middle. That was like the 22-yard throw. Like that, those type of plays in the middle of the field, they allow him to go ahead and cook, man. But that was again, when you look at it, if you go back and watch the game, and even from the end zone view that they showed on the TV broadcast, I'm going to definitely show that play on the 22 for you guys who will see the exclusive content. I'm going to get that out. I will get that out to you probably tomorrow because I'm going away for the weekend. That was quarterbacking at his finest, man. I mean, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. That's about all I have, guys. Hold on. Let's see what else y'all got. Let's see what y'all got before we wrap up. My man Jay Webb, appreciate that Win the Bread, sir. Round of applause. He says, agree with you and the caller about the O-line. 2 of the 3 sacks can be explained. One Rodgers just took. The other was 3rd and 3 with people open. We just didn't check down. Yeah, that was the one. I think the one you're talking about. I think Washington and somebody was in the same vicinity. And the protection was good at first. Zach Frazier did his job, but then he kind of looped back around and went to help the guard. And I can't wait to study that play to see what happened for real. But Aaron Rodgers had people wide open, but because of the way Frazier kind of left his area, so to speak, and that allowed this guy that would have been on Zach Frazier's right to end up making the play. But yeah, and I think, from what the TV broadcast was saying, I trust Troy Aikman as a quarterback. He said, he had 2 guys in the same area, kind of threw off where he was going to throw it. But yeah, man, the O-line played well last night. They really did. They really did. But that's all I got, guys. I don't have much more. I'll sit here for a few moments and read some comments really quick. What y'all got, man? Darius says, our run defense still has me concerned. Okay, that's fair. I do think the Steelers still have a tendency to give up, explosive runs. So that is absolutely fair concern. But, hopefully it doesn't bite us, where we don't want it to bite us, right? I think they did a really good job last night. Again, they only surrendered 63 yards on the ground. I'll take that any day of the week. If we can hold Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery to 85 yards on the ground, I sign up for that tonight. I would sign up for that tonight. Let's see what y'all got. Some talking going on in here. Let me see. Zubu Man says, CT Pittman, so who brought those guys in? Tomlin, stop the lame excuses. The team has been good enough to win a playoff game, beat Ravens all the time in regular season, but couldn't in the playoffs. Explain. Okay. So CT says, you ever played football? Because you should know regular season and playoffs are totally different. Okay. And he writes back, he says, he didn't write back yet. Okay, y'all having a little conversation off in there. I'll let y'all have that. It just popped up, so I was just looking to see what you guys were talking about. Kenyon put the eyes in there. Oh, man. MT Mooch, what's up, Mooch? Mooch says, would you extend Asante Samuel? Also, would you extend JPJ? Listen, I appreciate you coming through tonight. I actually said this last night about Asante. I absolutely said that last night as I was wrapping up the show. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. And his market is not going to be high. This guy was on the street. People question if he can still play because of his injury. I think you have some business. You talk business with him right now. Let him know, listen, man, we think we've got a a nice pairing with you and us. I looked up his age last night. He's 26 years of age. He turned 26 in October. So he starts the season next year at 26. And what I was saying was the Steelers always go with a veteran corner, right? So why don't we do that, the younger veteran, instead of the Darius Slays of the world, instead of the, no disrespect, the Joe Haydens of the world. Even though Joe Hayden, we got him at about 28, 29, won't too bad. But what I'm saying is the plus 30 guys. Let's stop doing that. Get you a young veteran. Get you a young veteran. Let's have some conversations with him right now. So when the season ends, yeah, bring him back. Yes, probably to JPJ. Listen, Joy Porter Jr. has been a solid corner, man, outside of his penalties, man. And that's just it. You know, he's got to find a way to get that resolved. I gave him his name back last night because he did not have a penalty. And yeah, I would extend him more than likely because this is his third season, right? So yeah, I probably would. I probably would. I think, I mean, you don't do a super long contract, but I would. I would say that today, even as somebody who gets ticked off with him, with his penalties, yeah, I would extend him. I would. What else y'all got? Knight Rider says the Chiefs are out the way. Lamar and Burrow aren't on the top. The NFL playoffs are wide open for the taking. If we can win a playoff game this year, then we will. Then when will we ever? Wait. You saying the playoffs are wide open? Now, listen. If you truly feel that way, then I can't change your mind. But let me just read some things really quick. The Denver Broncos, currently a 12-2 team. The New England Patriots, currently 11-3 team. Jacksonville Jaguars are playing well, right? And I don't know how good or bad they are, but listen, I remember when y'all was out on Trevor Lawrence. The Chargers are playing good football. The Bills are playing great football. The Texans are coming with an outstanding defense. So I understand in theory what you're saying is Burrow and Lamar, but bruh, these other teams in the AFC, I ain't got us winning none of those. I don't confidently say we win any of those. Now, like you said, if we win one, still, even if we win one and knock one of these teams off, I don't confidently go into any of them games thinking we win it. So I don't know about that, Knight Rider. I don't know about looking at how this year's AFC has played. I don't know about us. I don't know about making a statement of if you can't win a playoff game now, when will you? Nah, these teams are good. But you know, just my opinion. What else y'all got? Darius says, I feel we could beat Jacksonville, but we go home if we play Denver. Okay. I'm not so sure we beat Jacksonville, man, but honestly, I haven't watched the Jags, right? So if I'm being fair, I don't know how good or bad they are. You know what I mean? I don't know where they're excelling. I mean, obviously, Trevor Lawrence seems to be playing better, but I don't know if their defense is suspect. Are they winning close games? I honestly don't know what's going on with the Jags. I haven't seen one Jags game this whole year. So maybe I'll take your word for it. You say you think we could beat them. I'll take your word for it. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Knight Rider. You says, I don't think we do either. I'm just saying I don't trust Mike Tomlin in the playoffs. He doesn't just lose, but he gets blown out. Okay. I feel you. I feel you, but again, y'all know my response to anything in terms of winning and losing. I stand by this, guys. I think people give coaches too much credit when they win and too much blame when they lose. I don't put winning and losing solely on head coaches. That's just my position. I'm not making any excuse for Tomlin. I'm just saying that's always been my position. I could think of some of those games where, the players should have been able to win them. I mean, that Jacksonville game, we should have been able to win that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a 13-3 season. In my book, it was a 14-2 season. We beat the Patriots with the Jesse James catch. And the defense surrenders 45 points to Blake Bortles, right? I mean, I understand, I was hot about it too. I was mad at Coach Tomlin. I was mad at Keith Butler. But at some point, players got to execute, man. Come on, man. The offense scored 42 points. The defense has to find a way to make enough stops to not allow the other team to score 42 points or more. So, and I think Ben Roethlisberger gave up a couple touchdowns in that game too, if I'm not mistaken, in that playoff game. I think there was a fumble return and it might have been a pick six. But that's just my opinion, man. Again, I'm not debating you guys. It's just my opinion. I just don't think it stops and ends with coaching. I don't think that with any game. So, because here's my question to those who really believe that, right? All right. So, if Mike Tomlin was so bad, I got two questions. The lower question is, how did we win playoff games in 2016? That's the lower question. And then we got smoked in the AFC Championship, right? The higher question is, how did we win playoff games in the 2010 season? Even higher, how did we win playoff games and win the Super Bowl with his only championship? I'll even give y'all this. A lot of y'all say it was Cowher's team, but how did he coach his way through any of those playoff wins, right? So what I'm saying is, I don't give him all the credit for those either. I still think the players had to execute. Mike Tomlin had nothing to do with Ben Roethlisberger charging his way down the field the way he did and getting sacked. Remember, he got sacked on first or second down, whatever that was, and it looked like the drive was going to end, right? He had nothing to do with Ben Roethlisberger and Santonio Holmes. And I love the soundbite from Santonio Holmes, how before that drive even started, he was saying it's time to be great. And he goes out there and he makes two significant plays. And what a throw by Ben Roethlisberger. James Harrison saying that he said that him and the coaching staff, they knew, they had a feeling what Kurt Warner was going to do in that situation. And he took it upon himself to fake the blitz and drop back into coverage because they had already saw on film he likes that quick slant, picks it off and makes what some people say the best play in Super Bowl history. That was James Harrison that did that. But from coaching and his studying, they saw they were prepared, but he made that individual play. You understand what I'm saying? So again, I don't give coaches all credit and I don't give them all the blame. That is just always the position I'm going to be in. Andy Reid is a great coach. I am not putting all the blame on Andy Reid for not making the playoffs this year. I'm just saying. That's always my position, guys, and across the board. I'm always going to be that way, and I'm going to be the same way whenever the Steelers have another coach. So, that's just how I feel about it, man. Yeah, and shout outs to, who's this, Chef Boy. You're right. Some people feel like that was Cowher's team, but again, how did you win with his team? Right? How does he win with it? You know, I'm just saying, man, it's the narratives could be like twisted up always. They could contradict themselves. That's why I just don't live in narrative land, man. I just try not to. All I can say is what I see with my own two eyes. I give my opinion on what I think fell on the head coach and what I think fell on the coordinators and what I think falls on the players. That's how I've always watched sports. Last night's game, I'm sure they all came in ready to play. Mike Tomlin had to make some fourth down calls, and he went for it. Arthur Smith had to come up with the game plan of as far as what's on his play call sheet, regardless of whether Tomlin and all of them as a unit came up with the plan. Arthur Smith had to execute it. Terrell Austin had to execute the play calls on defense, regardless of whether Tomlin had a hand in that, because, you know, the report ccame out that, Ben said he has his hands on everything, but the coordinators have to make the calls. He doesn't make the calls. But the players had to execute. Patrick Queen had to execute on those 3rd and 2 and that other third down. Asante Samuel executed. Dylan Cook executed. Kenneth Gainwell executed. Aaron Rodgers executed. See what I'm saying? That's it. Okay, whatever. Big speaker. All right, well, you know what's about to happen to you, sir. I told y'all, man, stop getting personal. Stop getting personal. As soon as you get personal, I'm dismissing you. Goodbye. I am blocking you. Because again, what benefit what cracks me up about the whole Tomlin defender thing, what does it benefit me? So again, when y'all start talking stupid like that, I'm gone. Well, you're gone. So goodbye. What else y'all got, man, before I get off? That's right. Gruden essentially had Tony Dungy's team, but I still give Gruden credit for winning the Super Bowl. So, yeah, CT. Absolutely, man. Coach told me to stay my behind in the flat. And I said, nah, I know they throwing it deep. I went back. I got the interception. Everybody's celebrating. As soon as I get to the sideline, coach was like, what were you doing back there? What was you doing back there? That's not what I told you to do. I appreciate you making the play, but don't not do what I tell you to do, because had they thrown it to your side, case in point, that was not on the coach. That was on me deciding to do something. Yeah, I'm with you, Darren Breed. Yes, I want to see a playoff win as well. I'm not in the business of all of the, dare I say it, nonsense comments, man. We all want the same thing. I can speak for myself, and hopefully I speak for most of y'all. Nobody here is a Tomlin protector, or for what? What good does it do for us? And and this is the thing that people try to blame you, right? People try to say, oh, you try to defend him just because he's a black coach. And look around the NFL. There's quite a few coaches that, the whole black coach thing it happens now. So even if that was, you understand what I'm saying? Like, even if you're trying to take that narrative, that don't even make sense. Tomlin's not the only one. So sorry, that don't make sense either, because that is far from my mind. But for those of you trying to make that a narrative, there's others in the NFL. So that can't even be the reason why somebody is biased. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. But anyway, man, I'm out of here, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, Chef Boy, that people have said that to me, man. I'm. You know what I'm gonna start doing? I'm gonna start showing you guys some of the. I'm gonna start showing y'all some of the messages I get. But all right, what else y'all got? Anything else before I go, man? Anything else? Real Fact says, hey, Sim, why can't this be our version of Brady with the Bucks or Manning with the Broncos? It can be. I don't know. I don't know. I would love for it to be. I would love for it to be. And if it turns out to be that, Real Facts, we're going to say we heard it first from you. Jermaine White says, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Nothing wrong for defending or being in opposition to a coach. No need in shooting at one another. Ish be crazy. That is my whole point, dog. That's why I don't have the time no more. I just block people. I don't get, we supposed to be a family. I try to create this environment where we have a good time. There's no need for this. Have your opinions, disagree, have nice debate, and let it go. But as soon as people start taking the personal attacks, whether it's at me or even any of you guys in the chat, if I miss it, y'all please point it out. I'm blocking them people because it does not matter to me that much. I'd rather keep this, what we got going on over here, nice, positive, a place to kick back, relax, get your opinions off. We ain't got time for the rah-rah. There's many other things that really matter in the world that is affecting each and every one of us every day, other than coming over here to talking football and having somebody do this. Nobody care about that. You know what I mean? But all right, that's enough. I'm out of here. Hope everybody had a great day. I sure did, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. But of course, guys, before we go, I'm going to remind you to do this right here. If you like the content, hit the like button or dislike button. But if you really enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Outside of that, I'm going to tell each and every one of you all, first and foremost, it's not that serious. It's only entertainment. In my best Jay-Z voice. Outside of that, y'all know the routine. Make sure, please stay healthy. Stay safe. God bless. Good night. Before I go, though, actually, there probably won't be a post-game show. I'm going to Vegas. Thursday evening. I'll be returning. Oh, yeah, I will. I'll be returning Sunday evening. So I'll probably do a show at some point that night, but it's not going to be following the game. My wife and I and my two best friends and their wives, it's all of us. It's 6 of us that always travel together. We going out to Vegas. We going to see Jeezy. Yep, your boy's going to see young Jeezy and his orchestra. That's kind of cool. You know, the girls kind of wanted to do it. So we was like, all right, let's do something different. So we going out there having a weekend of it. And we'll not see the game, obviously, in real time. And listen, hopefully the Steelers can go get it done, man. But if not, hey, the rest of the season, it might still come down to that last game. And we'll see how it goes. But outside of that, man, again, let's say it one more time. Y'all be safe. Stay healthy. God bless. Good night. Like always, I thank each and every one of you all for tuning in. And I shall catch you in the next one.